You're listening to Relatable with Stephanie Michelle, only on LA Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Relatable. I'm your host, Stephanie Michelle. It's November, and I'm really excited that it actually feels a little bit like fall in LA right now. And I'm really excited to put all of my attention today on holiday memories and how we can make them uplifting. And looking forward to talking to my guests and tasting wines and, talking about celebrating the holiday season. But before I can totally go there, I need to release some thoughts about current events, about what I'm feeling around current events. So where do I begin? It's not a laughing matter. So in our country, there are people that like guns and people who don't like guns. I know that's overly simplified, but hear me out. I'm going somewhere with this. I know and love both types of people. I want to address the people who love guns right now. The NRA members, the concealed weapon permit holders, people that own more than one gun in their home, and some members of my own family. According to the Washington Post, there are between 73 million and 81 million adult gun owners in the U.S. 5 million are NRA members, representing about 6 or 7% of the total. I would like to believe that the majority of these people are responsible gun owners. They keep their guns in locked safes, they take gun safety classes, they do not boast about their collection, and know that they are not toys. I asked this group 2 questions. Have you ever met someone who you thought, this person probably shouldn't own a gun? Or would you be okay with a mentally unstable person who owns a gun living next to you or someone in your family? I understand that our Constitution states that people have the right to bear arms. I also understand when the Constitution was written, it was a very different time than what it is today. Could our founding fathers have predicted all the things in the world that we are exposed to on a daily basis that make us unwell, frightened, depressed, anxious, and angry? People are hurting and they feel powerless. And sometimes these people find power, or a false sense of power rather, in guns. How can we get to these people before they use their guns to act out their unwellness? What I would like for pro-gun people to consider is this crisis is bigger than the right to bear arms alone. It's about valuing human life. Do people who have physically harmed or threatened others really have the same right to own a weapon as a law-abiding person that keeps one for hunting or safety? This is both a mental health issue and a safety issue. It is complex, but I believe we're an evolved civilization, and surely we can come together and do better at regulating gun sales. And please stop simplifying this by saying things like, more regulation is a step towards the government taking my guns away, or guns don't kill people, people kill people. Is your possession more important than my life? Is going through a little bit of an inconvenience like registering or going through a process like driver's license, should that really be a big deal over someone's life? What I'm asking pro-gun people to do is really dig deep and ask yourself tough questions. Even better, organize a get-together with neighbors and friends and talk it out. Research what you're sharing as you talk it out. And once you see some of the opportunities for better solutions, reach out to your representative and say something like, hey, I am pro-guns, but I see there's a problem and I support change. And here's some of the change that I would support. Why do I believe this is important? Well, I believe because people who state they're simply against guns are not holding the power alone to catalyst change. Pro-gun people who value human life must speak out. You can find out who your representatives are at whoaremyrepresentatives.org. It's really easy. Just enter in your zip code. Lastly, I'd like to say to the people in Sutherland Springs, Texas, my heart feels your pain. I know how special small communities like this are. You don't just say people are your neighbors, are your family. You actually treat them as such. And I know members of your community are pro-guns. I know this for a fact because of the standout heroes in your tragic story. If you, in your time of healing, your community is on the spotlight, I urge you to use it. Don't allow any member of our government to come there for their PR moment unless they are ready to talk about the issues. Insist on a town hall meeting and for change to take place now. I believe everyone has a purpose, but it's hard for that purpose to be revealed when we're feeling fragmented and disenfranchised. A year ago from today, my concerns, I'm going to need a glass of wine after this. It's really heavy. This is really heavy stuff. A year ago today, my concerns for the anger, the sadness, and the anxiety in our nation prompted me to start this show. I know in my own personal habits, I feel worse when I don't talk things out, and I wanted to get people talking and hear from other people. You might be surprised to know that I've invited many people to be a guest that I don't necessarily believe in what they believe in or strongly disagree with. And after speaking with them, I just had one rule. It's like, you can come on and talk about what you believe, but you can't hate or put hate towards somebody else in that discussion. I'm not going to promote hate of any kind. I don't expect viewers to agree with everything I'm saying. I'm just here to promote us getting us together and talking again. Actively trying to connect with people and hearing them out. Do more to talk out how you feel and question what you know. I believe in the goodness of people and the positive impact we can make together when we truly allow ourselves to feel connected to each other. Thank you for watching and considering what I'm saying. I know this is not a perfect situation. Like, I wish we were in all dialogue, and I hate the fact that I have to use social media to promote the show, because I really want people to get off of it and get together, have conversations, ask questions, ask lots of questions why people believe the way that they believe, and in the moment fact check it and see if we can't get closer to, better solutions. So yes, thanks for watching. And now, as promised, I'm going to shift gears. I'm going to lean into something more uplifting, which is wine and holidays and my guest.
Very good.
You're very good, right? So help me welcome. This is Adam Dromi next to me. And Adam has been in the wine business for close to 20 years. Yeah? Yeah. From vineyards to wine operation management to viticulture, Anna knows wine. You need a shirt that says that. He has served as a wine educator, a maker, an international wine judge. He is involved in creating the Australian, New Zealand, and South Africa program for North American Sommelier Association. Adam speaks 3 languages to keep up with his international wine career, la-ti-da. And he's currently the U.S. marketing manager for Handpick Wines. Welcome.
Thank you.
Adam.
Very happy to be here today.
Me too. I'm glad we were doing this. I obviously, when I asked you to come on, I didn't anticipate what happened in Texas, but I do like using this show to just say, look, just start talking and talk offline. I don't think debating online these things is like helping us, but like get offline. And this is my attempt to get offline.
Very true.
Even though I have to promote it via social media, it's always a kind of a catch-22 for me. But so just like I got things off my chest, I always ask the guest that sits in that chair, is there anything that you want to share before we just dive into our topic today?
No, not really. I mean, I agree with everything you said this morning. It is tragic to look at this. And I was actually in New York last week when they had the terror attack there as well, with the guy with a car driving to a bike lane. And it was just amazing to judge, to be able to read and look at both cases and see the reaction towards one and the reaction towards the other. I mean, both were tragedies, and there were so disproportionate reactions. It was shocking. It's like both of these things are awful.
Yeah.
So let's get our act together and figure out, okay, here's the problem. What do we do to solve it?
Yeah.
What's more important in life?
Yeah.
And everything. Let's talk about it. And as you said, let's sit down, have a conversation. And I think that's why I like wine, and we'll segue to that in a moment, because it's all about a conversation.
Totally.
But let's talk about it, not this endless rants on social media here, social media there, and all this, because I think that takes away from a fundamental thing where we lost the art of conversation.
Yeah.
For me, the happiest thing was when I had a meeting in New York, and the office I was in the basement floor. It was beautiful for almost 5 hours. No cell phones, no emails, nothing.
Because you had no reception because you're in the basement? Yeah, I love this.
Granted, I walk out of the meeting and I get bombarded with emails and texts, but still, for those couple of hours, it was brilliant.
Yeah.
Where we can actually talk and everyone's phones were in their briefcases.
And listen. And I think what's challenging about trying to debate something online is it just stays in the debate kind of category. It's not relating. It's just like, well, yeah, about this, and it's just back and forth, and it's just a waste of time. But when you're offline, you can listen and go, and question. Questions are so important. Like, okay, you believe it's this. Well, where did you get that information? Well, let's look that up right now while we're offline. But that doesn't happen in a comment thread somewhere. Exactly. So it's very hard for me because like we have to use these tools, and you do too as a marketer, to get information out. But like ultimately, I want people to take breaks and get offline and have conversations and get back to really feeling and connecting with each other. So.
No, very true. In fact, I read something on social media a week ago, of course, because that's how we keep in touch. But it was a coffee shop in a small town in Australia. I don't remember the name for the life of me, and I wish I did. But it was very cool because it was an older gentleman and his wife started a program about talking to people. And they would sit in the coffee shop. They'd have a sign, hey, let's talk. And there was a picture of him and someone maybe in their 20s sitting and having a conversation. It was brilliant because they were talking about, they put no cell phones, it's just talking and get to know people. Yeah. And I think that's so important.
I do too. All right, well, let's talk about this and a topic that I like, I know you love.
Oh, yes.
So let's start from the beginning. We always have to start there. Like, where did your love for wine begin?
Oh, that's a long time ago. It happened because of, like all great stories, a girl. Years ago. Now, we're talking before email, internet, social media, where when you used to travel the world and write letters, it was a postcard or a letter. So this girl, she was traveling overseas. Funnily enough, she was traveling in Australia, out of all places. Yeah. She's sending pictures.
Were you born in Australia?
No, I was born in Israel, actually.
Israel, okay.
But so Australia happened as a great, I want to say it started as a fluke and now it's a passion. Yeah. I guess is the best way I can say that. So she was emailing pictures, and not emailing, we're so used to saying that word, writing letters and sending pictures of wine in Australia, brought back wine in Australia. And here, I didn't know anything about wine. I'm like, oh my God, what's this wine thing? I need to learn. So I started learning. Yeah. Studied here, went to wine tastings, went to events, read what I could get my hands on to understand. And fell in love with wine. It became a hobby, a passion. Now the girl's kind of gone, but the wine stayed. And it went from a hobby to a passion to a career, out of all things. Yeah. And
it's lucky when it happens that way, isn't it?
Is. I have to, at the end of the day, I'm lucky because I get to work with products I love, country I love, work with some amazing people all over the world, which I guess that's all you can ask for at the end of the day.
Totally. Just a fun question. How many wines do you think you've tasted at this moment or at this time? Like, what would you guess?
Oh, my God. That's a hard one.
Is it like hundreds of range? Thousands?
Thousands plus.
Thousands plus?
Let's put it in perspective. So I, last October, was a wine judge in Australia, in McLaren Vale. And just in one day alone, I think we tasted close to 200 wines.
Whoa!
So I've been a wine judge a couple of times. So average 400 or 500 wines over a period. With work and this, it's in the thousands plus.
Wow.
I don't even know.
That's amazing.
Like all wine people, we keep notebooks. I'm like, no, I'm done.
Do you keep a note?
Now I do use technology to my advantage as well.
I gotcha. So tell me, of those thousands that you've tasted, what has made them one or two, or like some of them more memorable to you?
There's quite a few. As someone who works in the industry, but more important than that, as a wine lover, there's always that one wine, and it changes a lot. When you open that bottle, and you're like, whoa, it's not about analyzing the wine, looking at what fruits, what vegetables, what flavors we get, because at the end of the day, it's about, you gotta enjoy the wine. So opening this wine up and smelling it, and I'm like, oh my God. You're like, where did this come from? And you taste it, and it's like, this is amazing. I want the whole bottle. It's like, I want to take this bottle and run. That's one, but I guess one that always comes back to me. Well, there were two instances that come to mind. One was living in Australia, in Adelaide, in the wine program, going to university. One of the last nights of the whole group of friends together before we all packed up and started going overseas or separate ways again, there was a dessert wine from a really famous French producer. And I'm like, let's open it. Let's see it. It's a dessert wine. We're going to go through half a bottle, maybe less, because it was a normal sized bottle like one of these. Oh, we polished that bottle off so fast it wasn't even funny. Imagine like the freshest nectarines and peaches in a glass. You're like, oh my God.
So there's just so much taste.
Yeah.
And I hear some we, we're referring to we. So is some of the wine culture like the experience of sharing
Yes.
it? Like,
It's important. I mean, I always think back, someone asked me about why do you like wine? What do you like about it? It's, yes, the flavor, the taste. At the end of a long day, sitting down, reading a good book and a good glass of wine. But at the end of the day, and it always brings back to when I applied for university for wine, why do you want to go in this program? It was a simple question. And the real answer, people were writing essays because they told us about this. They're like, the simple answer, and I believe in this because this is what I ended up writing, it's good wine, good food, good people, good conversation. So best conversation and discussions I've had with people is over a glass of wine.
Yeah.
Sit back, open that glass, and be wow.
There's something about, there's almost a ritual in all of it. So for someone that doesn't know as much about wine as you do, what I see is like, if I didn't pick the wine out, someone who's presenting the wine, at a dinner amongst a group of friends, it's like, oh, where did the wine come from? Let's look at the label. Like, what kind of wine is it? And you start to kind of get into the ritual of like studying. And in that, there's a slowdown where like, okay, we're actually about to enjoy this and be with each other and experience each other. So, you could say coffee does that too, but coffee, is what's the word? It's a stimulant.
Yeah.
So you're a little bit more like this and more apt to like, where's my phone? And do different things. But this, I think, kind of just calms us down and starts you into this path of like, yeah, okay.
Slows down the world.
Yeah.
And as you said, I said we, and I also don't mean we with a group of friends because in the wine world, when people go to events and tastings, there's a commonality with people you don't know where you had a similar wine or a similar experience. And I guess I'll go back because I was just in New York. I was sitting at a coffee shop. I was doing some work, and someone sat next to me. I was like, oh, what are you doing? Because I was jumping around looking at graphs and pictures. I'm like, oh, I work for a winery, and explained a bit of what we're doing, that we're new to the market, and then they were fascinated. Like, I want to know more. And then asked, hey, I had this wine. What do you think of this? So it's a great conversation with strangers as well, because you could be talking about a wine you buy at your local supermarket, or that special occasion wine you've been saving for a celebration for 40 years. Yeah. It all ties in together.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. It's great. It's a great conversation starter. All right, before we taste, like if wine is intimidating to somebody, what would be some of the basics that you would tell them just to make it less intimidating, just to have this experience where they're like, yeah, I'm open for this.
That is such an important question to ask, and something I've worked in wine shops, so people always ask. It is a scary thing. I mean, you pick up that bottle, you're like, I don't know a thing about this. And with every country has different labels as well and different rules. So some countries you pick up and like, oh, it's a Cabernet from so-and-so. Others are like, I have no idea what I'm reading on the bottle. And that was me pretending I have a bottle in my hand when I have more right there. So the key thing I always tell people is when I talk, and if you're at a wine shop, when I was working there, if you were at me and say, hey, I like wine, what do I want? It's not me telling you what you want, it's me asking you those questions. So what do you like? What's the last great wine you had? Now, a lot of times people feel intimidated because they feel that they need to use the language that we use in the wine industry or that Psalms use. I get hints of oak and maple and bacon and this and that. It's like, no. Let's remember one thing. As much as we love wine, it is a grape at the end of the day. So let's remember that. The second thing is, it's not about what we tell you to drink in the industry. And yes, I know I'll have some sommeliers and people who will get annoyed at me. But at the end of the day, it's about what you as the customer like. So if you came to me and said, Adam, I want a glass of wine for the weekend, I'll be like, great, red or white. Then heavy, light-bodied. And if you're not sure what I mean by that, we'll expand on that. We'll ask some key questions there. Then from there, we'll go to and if we're struggling there about flavors and stuff, because sometimes people know what they like, but they just can't describe the fruits, the vegetables, the chocolate, the spice. What kind of food do you like? Things like that. Or I heard someone talking to customers at a wine bar a few weeks ago, and she actually had some of the best questions because she didn't ask him a thing about wine.
Yeah.
She asked, what food did you have for lunch?
Uh-huh.
What do you usually like to have for dinner? The most amazing question was she asked him, do you like dogs? And what kind of dog do you like?
Hilarious.
And the person responded, I love golden retrievers.
Uh-huh.
So at the wine bar, she's like, okay, she had a light lunch, easy lunch, and then golden retrievers. So she wanted a friendly, easy drinking wine.
Classic.
And I was like, oh my God. I was
That's
listening to
brilliant.
this. I was blown away. I'm like, I would have never got that connection. I didn't even see that connection. So we stopped and talked.
Yeah.
And it's making wine fun and easy.
And it is conversational. And you and I have been wine shopping together. I've seen you in your element, and then I took you to my little local store, and I was
Yes.
like, Adam, is this like a great place or what? And I think you agreed it is,
Yeah.
because that place, what was great about them, they were so ready to communicate and answer your questions or guide you in the way that Adam just subscribed. But I could go in there sometimes and go, I have $10 in my pocket, and this is what I want, and they would guide me to that, or I could go in with more of a flavor,
Yeah.
like some flavors that I wanted or something that I had recently. I'm terrible at remembering names, so a lot of times I would go in there and like, the bottle looked like this, and we had fun. Like, they were there to help, and people that tend to be in this industry, and you correct me if I'm wrong about this, like, they're really gracious about talking about it and helping you make good decisions, and they want you to have an experience that you'll say, oh, I like wine. Like,
Exactly. I agree with that 100%. Because at the end of the day, from the business side, there's a business. We want you to come back.
Mm-hmm.
But also, we want you to enjoy wine and discover, because there is an amazing world of wine out there. There's
so many
tens of thousands of
Yeah.
grapes. As an example, Italy has alone over 2,000 grapes. Like, oh my God. And I think I know my wines, and I look at Italian, I'm like, oh wow. There's a lot we still don't know. But more important than that is at a good wine shop. And I tell people, find a place you like to shop.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter where it is, that they're friendly, they talk
even
to you.
the grocery stores now have a person in the wine department that you can ask questions, and they're really knowledgeable. Like my local, not Whole Foods, but my local Ralph's, which is kind of, run-of-the-mill grocery store, they have a wine bar in the grocery store that you can taste things before you buy it.
Exactly. If you get a chance to taste beforehand. And more important, when I was working in retail, if you bought a wine and came back and I saw it in your store, hey, how was that wine? How are the wines you bought? You tell me what you loved, what you didn't like. I want to know what you liked, but I'm more concerned about what you didn't like. So we can say, okay, tell me why, and we can find you something better.
Got it. If you find that you tend to like wines from New Zealand or a certain area, like, is that a safe, I'm always going to like Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand, or like, can you guide people by regions?
Yes.
Or
You can guide by regions. The key for a good wine person at your Ralph's, at a wine shop, or even me, is we're always learning and educating ourselves, pretty much, because it's always just something new. Wine a lot is dependent on the weather at the end of the day. So if it's a great vintage, the weather was perfect, great summer, the rains were right at the right time, the grapes ripened, had a nice slow ripening season, the wine's going to be amazing.
So I just had this thought. So if nobody's around to help you when you're picking out a wine, if you Googled the region and the year and just said, was this a good time for grapes? And would that be a good thing to do?
That would be a good guide.
To like guide you if you're getting a good bottle of wine or not?
Yes. I mean, that would be good. As much as here we put our cell phones away, we're disconnecting from that. There is at times an advantage in the wine world. All that information is in front of us. So if there's someone not there, it does help. But I laugh because even at times when I go into a wine shop and I'm looking around, I know I could pull out a phone, but I want to find someone who I can talk to.
Yeah, that's part of it. I would agree too. Obviously, you guys know this about me by this point that I would go for the conversation. Yeah. But just in case, is there an app that like you could enter in a name? There is.
I jump around.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I want to say I've found the perfect app. I haven't found one yet. I mean, I jump around from an app called Delectable, because I use that also to record what I drink. So it's sort of, you can see what professionals drink, but also you can see what everyday drinkers like. I use that. I use Wine Searcher, another app and website. And what else do I use? I'm just thinking because I have so many reference things on my phone. Those will be the two I use.
We'll share those in the archives afterwards so people can check them out. All right. Well, let's talk about the holidays and wine.
Yes.
So everybody is probably, you're either hosting or you're going somewhere. In both occurrences, you might have a couple bottles of wine to start that your holiday dinner, or you might be the one that's been selected to bring it. How can we make better decisions about what to bring?
Well, number one, for the holidays, and Thanksgiving's right around the corner. Can't believe I was even thinking, oh my God, 7 weeks, I think, till the year's over.
I know.
I'm like, wait a minute, where's this year going?
I
I'm
know.
not done yet. I need another month. Or two. So I was thinking Thanksgiving, and with all the dinners and what you need to bring, there's two ways I always look at it. Number
Okay.
one, bring a wine that will pair beautifully with the food.
So find out what's being served.
Exactly.
Is a good-
And
okay.
I mean, you're going to see right now in every wine shop I know of, perfect for Thanksgiving. There's going to be signs, this and that, which is cool. And that's the great, easy way. Oh, I'm going for Thanksgiving. Let me grab this bottle, they tell me. So that's that's the easiest, best way to shop, because we know Thanksgiving's going to have a turkey, going to have a ham. And the wine shops and the wineries and everyone in the wine industry want you to buy wines that are appropriate. I also tell people, great, but also be a bit adventurous. See what else is out there. Ask the questions, because there's always that great wine, the traditional classics, but maybe there's something that's similar but different and new, or maybe a new region.
And I I had a chef on a couple of weeks ago, and she was talking about, really taking an old recipe and making it healthier, putting a little surprise taste in it. Like, I think that's probably good information to share with your wine shop. Like, hey,
Yeah.
we're putting a little extra sage in the mashed potatoes this year. Like, what do you think would be good with that? Or more adventure. What are you taking for dessert? What's being served for dessert? And venture into the dessert wines that might pair well with that.
Exactly. I had a customer when I was working, well, I'll say where I worked. I worked at the wine house.
Yeah.
And someone walked in and said, I need help with Thanksgiving. I'm like, great, what are you looking for? They brought out the whole menu.
Wow.
And what was great was there was the whole menu, and there was already the wines for each one. So every guest was responsible for a different wine for a different course. I loved it because it gave me all this information so I could have the wines build upon each other.
Nice.
So when sort of like you starting at the bottom of a hill, and at the end with dessert, you're at the top.
Yeah.
That was the idea. So we were able to pair it and have everything build, and it was amazing.
And that's important consideration too, is that sequence. Like, if you're at a dinner with more than 6 people, you're going to go through more than one bottle of wine.
6 or 7 at least.
Yeah. So, and there's going to be different, what do I want to say, different. Why am I blanking out on
Different
the word?
courses.
Sessions,
Sessions,
courses.
yes.
Yeah, that's the word. I'm like, what is the word for courses? Yeah, different courses. So planning that out, but not planning it out just for the course, but planning it out in sequence to the courses is something.
Exactly. So the more information you can always give us, the better we can help you.
Yeah.
But if not, there's always that, hey, I'm going to Thanksgiving dinner. There's always those safe wines.
Yeah.
We can say, take a Pinot Noir. You'll be fine.
You will be fine. Or a cab, right? Cab's
A
pretty
cab
safe.
can work well.
Pretty safe.
There's tons of wines you can do out there. I mean, there's some from adventurous ones we can talk about if you wanted to shake things up a little bit.
Yeah.
Because that shaking the thing up will lead to a great conversation.
Totally. And this is why the conversation part of picking it out, we need to lean into it. Because I suspect, and it's happened to me, so this is not a reach, that in having this conversation with somebody that knows about the wines in their store, they tell me this like really cool story about how the wine was made, or about the winemaker's wife, or what went into the label. And now I'm not only walking into my dinner or my gathering with this great bottle of wine, but I have like a guaranteed like conversation starter, because I get to tell this great story that I just was told. And nothing connects us more than a great story.
Exactly. So just wait, because one of these wines we
Really?
have here
Well, I
does
think
have
we
a
could
good
go
story.
there. Let's go there and keep talking about the holidays as we
Okay.
go. So
So
tell me
what
what you brought with you.
We did today is, so I work for Handpick Wines.
So excited.
We're a family-owned Australian winery.
Okay.
And I brought 3 selections. But before we talk about that, what we do at the winery different is we love wine and we love travel. So instead of focusing on one region in Australia and one variety, we decided to take the best regions and the best varieties.
Okay.
Because that already starts to a story,
Yeah.
number one. I'll give an example. This first one right here, this because it's right there, is a Cabernet Sauvignon. So we all know Cabernets. And in Australia, one of the best regions for it is Margaret River. And so we picked that because it's a star variety. And that's what we do. We have Barossa Valley is known for Shiraz. Yarra Valley is known for Chardonnay and Pinot. Those are all, so we talk about the region. So we start off with that story. What is the region all about? And everything. And that's what makes it unique. So it gives us a lot of fun because as working, I could have one of my wines every day if I wanted to and never repeat myself, which is great.
That's great. And in the conversation about the region, you're talking about the soil, you're talking about the weather, you're talking about the people probably too, and the culture of it. I like it. And
every wine has, I mean, we like to say handpicked wines travel the world one bottle at a time because we're our Australian company. We do make wine in other countries as well, and that's a whole nother conversation. But it makes it fun. And what the cool thing I love about our company is it's always exploring, finding new things, finding ways for people to connect and talk. And by one of the things we did different is when you think of wineries in wine country, you go to a cellar door or a tasting room in that region. Well, here's the problem. We own a lot of vineyards in quite a few different regions. So we can't put a cellar door in every one. So what we did is we opened a cellar door in Sydney. And imagine a place where it's a cellar door, a wine bar, a tasting room. You can come for events. You can come get a drink before dinner. Saturday, we have wine and yoga.
Whoa.
I know you could do that. Or even funnier, in Australia, the city registrar, so it'd be like city council, is right next to our cellar door. So I just read about this the other day. They sent me all the information, and that's where people go to get registered for weddings. So what we do is on Saturdays for a 2-hour period, every half hour we run weddings. So you can go get registered, come to us. We have the wine, the cake, and you're done. So
that's awesome. I love it. It's like one-stop shop.
We want to have fun, and that's the key. It's about having fun for us.
All right. Well, are we going to open that?
Of course. So we're going to start off.
I'm like,
every good Thanksgiving dinner, or everyone, we always need a white wine.
Okay.
So this is a new one for us, versions of my hand-picked. The idea behind this is an everyday drinking wine. Tuesday night, it's hot outside, you're having seafood. It's a white wine for you. With turkey, always good. And this wine, if you take a look at the label, you see words crossed out.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It ties into travel.
Okay.
So it's about a journey. And our idea is as this label grows, is there'll be blank spots here where you can write your own wine journey. And that way you can...
It's like the Mad Lib of wine.
Exactly. It's a Mad Lib label. It's supposed to be fun, easy drinking.
It's fun. Easy to find? Like where...
Yes. Well, let's pour it first, and then we'll continue the conversation with some wine. Some of the best shops in Los Angeles have this. Right now, I would say if you're in West LA, the Wine House carries all our wines.
Good smell. It smells good.
Down here. Here in the Valley, Flask Wines in Studio City carries some of our wines. In the archive, we'll put the website and an email so people can always ask me. If you're down by the 55 towards the South Bay, Original Wine Club carries
Does it have a
High
store
Times.
Locator outside of California as well? Or?
We're working on that right now. As of next week, you'll even find us on wine.com.
Nice.
And pretty soon in some great shops in New York.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, let's taste it.
So now, in tasting wine, I always told us the proper way to taste it.
Okay.
To start off with, smell the wine.
I could smell it when you opened it. So you kind of know what's coming, huh?
Exactly. And you don't have to think of those fancy terms. Oh, I smell this kind of fruit from here and this and that. It's whatever comes to mind. Sometimes it's like, this smells like grapes. That's fine too.
Yeah.
So I always smell it, see what it smells like. What am I thinking? And especially for a white, when
Does it remind you of anything?
Yeah,
like...
what comes to mind? On this one, for me, I love apples. Apples are perfectly in season right now. So at my local supermarket a few weeks ago, I'm walking through all these new apples, and I'm like, smelling them. And the guy there stocking them is like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I want to know the smell memory for apples. So when I smell these things, he's like, well, pulls out a knife. He's like, let's taste some apples. He thought it was so weird. But that's what I tell people.
Yeah.
If you want to improve your smelling and tasting knowledge for wine, go to your local farmer's market, go to your supermarket, smell everything. Do a day, I'm only smelling berries today. another day I'm smelling vegetables.
Yeah.
Because then that memory will create, and you'll smell a wine and say, whoa, I get it.
Yeah. I love this. I love thinking about smelling it, and even how this connects into going into a family dinner. It's like, oh, Uncle Rick loves apples. Like, so I'm gonna get this wine that smells like apples. Like, just kind of taking the time to connect the dots, and our sense of smell is attached to a lot of memories, and will connect us to new memories as we go. So
Exactly.
I like the idea of this. Did you taste it already?
No, not yet. I was waiting for you.
I thought you snuck one in.
No, I was being polite. I was like, I'll wait. Okay. So smell it, then you sip it.
I do taste apples.
Now,
It's really like in summary too.
exactly.
Yeah.
Now, when you taste wine, if you're tasting a bunch, it's okay to spit out the wine.
Yeah.
But also it's okay to have a drink. It's
We
only
have water that we,
yeah,
so instead of spitting, we can just kind of.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
perfectly good. It's only 11 o'clock.
It is only 11 o'clock.
It's okay. There's days, and when I was a buyer and working, where it's 10 o'clock and we're tasting a bunch of Italian wines, a bunch of this. The one thing I won't do at 10 a.m. is taste a bunch of whiskey. Even for me, that's a little bit early.
That's a little bit early. Yeah, I think that's a little bit early.
So what do you think?
I like that. I can tell this, and I'm not a big Chardonnay drinker. You know this.
Yeah.
I am more of a Sauvignon Blanc in terms of white wine. But it's, as you said, it's very summery. It's very crisp. It's easy to drink. I think lots of different people would like this.
Yeah.
It's not intimidating. It's not too dry. It's not too sweet.
Exactly. It has, and this is what's always interesting about Chardonnay, because here in California, at least, there's that conception that Chardonnay is big, oaky, buttery. And if you love it, great. More power to you, because at the end of the day, who am I to tell you what to drink?
Yeah.
My job is to help you find what you like, and the rest is up to you. I'm your guide. I'm your wine guide.
Your wine guide.
And this is a great Chardonnay because it has a bit of that creaminess we want from a Chardonnay, but also has some beautiful fruit, some tropical, some citrus. And for me, one of the things I judge is the weight of the wine in my mouth. Does it linger? Does it sit? One of the things when people says, I don't know if I like a full-bodied wine, a medium-bodied, or a light, I take this conversation actually to when I was in the coffee world to milk. Do you like whole milk, percent, or skim? Whole milk is full, heavy-bodied.
Yeah.
Skim milk is light
That
and everything.
makes
So
sense.
that tells me a lot about what you like.
Yeah.
Without even talking
And
about
that's
wine.
probably why I can't do a wine show and not bring up ice cubes in wine, so I'm just going to go there. So isn't that probably why some people tend to put ice cubes in wine, because they tend to like that lighter, they don't want all of that flavor?
That could be one. That could be the wine's just not warm enough. If the wine's not warm
Or
enough.
they don't like drinking warm
Yeah.
wines, even though it's intended to be room temperature. It's like
Exactly.
it's not their thing, so they can put an ice cube in it. I'm sure that's frowned upon in some areas, but like if they're enjoying it, who cares?
Exactly.
You
Who am
know?
I to comment? If you like it
Right.
and drink it, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
My hope would be that if you're putting ice in your wine because it's to cool it down, or the flavors you want it a bit lighter, is that we find you a better wine.
Got it.
Is that if you don't like it, don't drink it.
Yeah.
There's thousands of wines out there.
But for my ice cube putter in there wine people, this was a good learning thing here, that maybe if you do that, tell the person that you're buying wine from, and they can find a
Yeah.
lighter body wine and see if you still need to put it in there.
Or if you tell me I want to always put ice cubes in my wines, then we go to any good wine shop's accessory section. And nowadays, because Scotch drinkers, whiskey drinkers, they like ice cube in their wine as well.
Yeah.
You have sort of these stainless steel. I don't know if they're stainless steel. Don't know what the material is made of, but it's these kind of stainless steel rocks you put in the freezer, and it freezes. It's like an ice cube, but it won't melt in your glass.
Yeah. So then you don't change the flavor of
Exactly.
the wine by watering it down.
Yeah. And there's even a device I have in summer where it's if people are over to the house and we're just hanging out in the backyard barbecuing. It's sort of like a cork, but that's an ice frozen cork type thing, like a corksicle. Yeah, that's what it's called. It's called a corksicle.
Corksicle.
And I just put it in a white wine to cap it, and it keeps it nice and cold, but doesn't dilute it.
Got it.
Type thing.
All right, let's go on to our second one.
Cool. Oh, just in case, before we forget, so this wine, perfect for Thanksgiving or any day drinking. If it's a warm Sunday, sitting on the deck, put your feet up, watch your day go by. But with the beginning of any good Thanksgiving dinner, it would be perfect.
So
or
it's a
holiday
nice
dinner.
first wines
Exactly.
in sequence of the dinner.
Yeah. Now, from here next, and this is, we talked about the wine and the story and the conversation, and this wine does it completely.
Okay.
Actually, before we jump to this, I just want to explain the labels. On this one right here, the Cabernet is a picture of a hand, and the hand is different colors. The hand is the colors of the soil of Australia.
Wow.
And everything. And this is sort of one of our tiers. We have actually more than 3 ranges. We have the versions, which is all about that everyday drinking, enjoyment. And it's made, forgot to mention, sustainable glass, so very environmentally friendly.
No corks too.
Exactly. Next step up is all about the region. So here we talk, you open this, you know it's a Cabernet from Margaret River. Next up, and why I wanted to show this, is our Tasmanian Pinot Noir. Number 1, Pinot Noir, the holidays, turkey, ham. I can ask for a better pairing.
Okay.
But at the same time, with a wine like this, I just love drinking this every day. This is our next tier. So as opposed to just talking about the region, we're talking about vineyards.
Okay.
Now we talk about the story of the label.
All right. Talk to
before
me.
we go
It's
further,
very interesting. Is it
Tasmania.
photography?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it
it's
is.
really pretty.
I can never pronounce the name of the flower, so we'll call it the Tasmanian yellow flower.
All right.
You find this all over Tasmania. And number 1, you bring a wine from Tasmania, you already have a conversation starter because half the world is like, where's Tasmania?
True.
It's a little
Getting
island
out your
south
phone.
of Australia.
I like to use our phones when we're together, only to fact check.
Exactly.
Or for more information.
This is actually a picture of the flowers. They take real pictures, and then they print them out, and then they put gold around on the label to help make it pop and stand out. But yeah, it's a live picture.
It's
actually.
nice.
Yeah.
It's pretty.
And this wine is amazing. It's a 2013 vintage, and can't keep
New
this.
glasses.
Yeah,
I'll give
can't
you new
keep this.
glasses.
Can't keep this one in stock.
Now, right away when you poured it in, it's not a real deep red, I
No.
notice.
It's a nice light red. There you go.
Thank you. Smell this one. See, I'm not normally a Pinot Noir drinker. We'll see if I see where we go with this. Let's see. It's strong to me.
Okay. Yes.
It's strong to me.
It is. I mean, if we compare to that, and depending on what you usually now, what do
Yeah.
you usually do?
I like cabs, and I tend to, I mean, Sauvignon Blanc and cabs are like kind of where that's the lane that I stay
Nice.
in.
We'll talk about your Cabernet love when we get to the Cabernet.
Okay.
Actually, this wine I have a great story for you
Yeah,
as well.
tell me.
So,
What do you smell, by the way? Because
cinnamon,
it's back there for me. I like the smell of cinnamon. I
Spice.
can kind of, yeah, it's definitely spicy.
but I'm not talking pepper spice. I'm talking about like sweet spice, like Middle Eastern spice. Some beautiful cherry, strawberry,
Okay, I got that in there.
and then a little bit of sort of sage, hints of tobacco. But then I do this every day. And
Yeah.
I know these tasting notes by heart.
Yeah.
But also, take a look, as you said, look at that color. It's
Yeah,
not a
it's-
heavy color
no.
wine and everything. It's a bit of a medium-bodied wine. And let's drink it.
Okay. It has. If I was a peanut drinker, I'd probably like this because I can. There's a lot going on.
Exactly.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot of taste in it.
Now, we all want, with all these wines, we want, especially my reds, or any reds, that you want to open them up and let them breathe a little bit. Now, the idea behind letting it breathe or decanting is think of wine like roses. You bring roses when it's not they're closed, the sunlight, they open up, and suddenly you go from this close thing to something beautiful. Same thing with the wine. It needs some air.
With the rose analogy, do they last about the same? Like once you've opened them up, is there a rule like a couple days? Like
with technology, there's always ways to cheat.
yeah.
But let's put it this way: with these wines we opened right now, which by the way you get to keep if you whichever one you like.
Nice. Like my neighbors would be like, "Hey, I saw you on your show this morning. I'm coming over.
You
bring
should-
food. I have wine. You bring food."
Oh, that was when I was living in Australia.
Yeah.
It was always this joke
Yeah.
because we were all in the wine industry, me and my roommate, and it was like, guys, don't bring wine. We'll bring the food. We got it. I mean, we'll bring the wine. You bring the food. We're covered.
We're good. We're good.
Yeah, it was the best when our neighbors were culinary students.
Yeah.
then it was the perfect. We had wine. They were.
Oh God, yeah, that's perfect.
I don't think we used the kitchen for 6 months except to make coffee.
Yeah.
So with these wines, I'd say the Pinot Noir finished by tonight, just because the lighter, more delicate wines need that time. Even though by tomorrow, I'd say whatever we open right now should be gone by tomorrow night.
Okay.
Now, there are little tips and tricks, like this white wine, when you get home, throw it in the coldest part of your fridge.
Yeah.
In fact, most people always say, we tell people to do this, to say, oh, I want to keep my wine a little bit longer. Okay, we can invest in technology, yes. But if not, throw these wines in the fridge, the coldest part of your fridge, even your reds.
Even your reds.
Because that coldness slows down oxidation. So what happens is air gets in here, and think of it now, we did our roses analogy to start with. Now let's use our slicing apples analogy.
Oh, yeah.
Think if you slice an apple, it's great for a couple of hours, and then it starts
brown.
Exactly.
Or avocado.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So same thing. If you keep this cold, it slows everything down.
Okay.
Is my advice. So she's like,
is that suggestive?
Wants. Yeah.
It's based on time and what I like.
Exactly. No, of
a
course.
little bit of both.
So
but yeah, let's try that.
basically, Tasmania will listen to one thing. It's a great conversation wine because Tasmania. It's a wine that if you love Pinot Noir, great. We're lucky because there's great Pinot Noir regions. I mean, in our own state in California. But at the same time, you want to bring something different. You want to bring a conversation. Odds are most people have not had a Tasmanian Pinot Noir.
It sounds kind of cool.
Exactly.
Like to bring a Tasmanian wine to dinner.
Yeah, and luckily the wine shops in LA have been very supportive.
Oh, by the way, that's another tip. Do you like this tip? Here I'm tipping you. Like, when you're going somewhere and you know someone's going to be at the dinner that's from a different place of the world. Like, so for instance, my friend's husband is from Argentina, and when I first met him, I knew I was going to meet him. I brought an Argentine wine.
Yeah.
And he was so gracious, and it was a conversation starter, and it got us off on the right foot. So I think, do you like that tip?
I like that idea as well.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going somewhere, if you know the host likes something specific or they're from a certain spot, I mean, at that point, it's a great tip. I'll always be careful to make sure you're getting, then you just have to get something a bit higher quality because you want to make sure it's something special and unique and different. So if you're doing something like that, that's when you have to find that good wine shop that someone can show you something unique and rare.
Got it.
But to add to that, and I was going to add this on later, but I think it's important, there's this misconception always that I need to spend a lot of money to get a good wine. No, that is not true. It's easy to spend $200 and get an amazing bottle. It's that $20 or that $10. You can find great wine there. It just goes back to ask that question to that person of what you. So tell them what you like. This is what you're looking for. This is what you're having. I mean, and these three wines right here, completely different price points for all different levels.
What are they, just so we know?
This one, the version's the Chardonnay. They also do we have a Shiraz in that range. You're probably going to find that anywhere between $12.99 and $14.99. The Pinot Noir is the pricier one because it's that next tier. That one usually in the low 40s. I know some places have it on special, $39.99 I've seen out there. Okay. And the Cabernet, $21, $22.
All right, let's taste it.
Exactly.
We are getting close to
exactly.
in the
Perfect.
time, so we got to talk.
So Margaret River has a great story as well. Up until the 1970s.
Do you want to? You're just going to have to finish something, Adam. Not a problem, huh?
As I dribble wine onto my side here.
If you want to, or rinse out the glass.
I know, because we're drinking a bigger wine, so no need to rinse it out.
So there you go.
Margaret River, far west coast of Australia. So if you were to say, Adam, I want to go to Margaret River, I'm like, great. So we get on a Qantas flight at 11 o'clock tonight, 14 and a half hours to Sydney.
After I drink all my wine.
Exactly. Because it won't be good by the time we get back.
Exactly.
Because you'll bring more wine back with you.
Exactly.
And then we're getting on a plane for about another 6.5 hours, and then driving for 2 hours to get to Margaret River. Up until the 1970s, this region didn't make wine.
Wow, that's interesting.
In the region, a lot of miners in the mining industry and people with money. So they were wandering through the region, looking at what can we do, what can be done here, and they were traveling with a gentleman from California by the name of Robert Mondavi.
Oh.
And he's like, folks, you need to plant vineyards here.
Yeah.
He's like, this is a perfect spot for Cabernet Chardonnay. And they did. Now, Margaret River makes, that's what they're known for. I mean, they make a lot of other amazing things. So if any of my friends in Margaret River hear that, I just want to make sure they know I'm not forgetting everything else you do. But when I think of them, it's all about their Cabernets and Chardonnays. And they're amazing.
Smell this. I smell like woodsy kind of smell.
Yes, you're getting a bit of oak.
And and then berry, like real rich, like berry, like blackberry or something. Did you taste that? Did you sneak it?
I already did.
You're fast. You're fast. All right. That's nice. That's more my speed.
A bit more full-bodied, a bit more weight, a bit more
Yeah.
kick to it, where there's a lot happening as well. And that's the beautiful thing. Now, this wine's pretty amazing. I like to call Margaret River, when I talk about this wine, imagine if Napa and Bordeaux had a secret love child. And people always love it, and they talk, what do you mean? Well, when I think of Bordeaux, I think of aromatics, I think of complexity, I think of walking through a forest, earth, spice, mushrooms, black tea, medium-bodied wines. Napa...
Film noir, dark movie, like just kind of detective movie.
Yeah. Dark and brooding.
Dark and brooding.
Napa's a bit more full-bodied, a bit more heavier, a bit of those brighter berry fruits. So this wine gives you both.
Yeah.
Gives you that aromatics, that French, then gives you that full-bodied. And it's a great little story. I'm like, hey, and people love it.
I love that an American winemaker influenced this wine.
This industry.
Yeah, this industry.
Yeah.
Is
What's also cool, and this is a nice little thing, this wine's a 2013. So it's going on almost 5 years. I'm drinking beautiful now, and this one this evening when you have it, if you happen to have a steak for dinner, you'll be very happy. And for those of you vegetarians, blackened tofu.
Blackened tofu. All right.
Or something, or like vegetarian chili. But no, wine's great now, but it has a life ahead of it. You can still put this away for 2 to 3 more years.
And we had not opened it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a $21, $22 bottle.
Nice.
Which shows you can buy good wines in that $20 price point that will develop.
That will be something special.
Yeah.
All right. This was amazing. Anything that you think that any last words on wine, any encouragement? I hear being adventurous, really leaning on your wine experts. And if you don't like the first one you go to somewhere else.
Exactly.
Because you'll find somebody to connect with that's really easy to talk to, that's speaking your language. Like what was important to me was having a store that could go both ways, that could be super sophisticated and expose me to something new, but then also just manage to the cash in my pocket and be able to pick out something nice. And we were both ecstatic about it. So kind of maybe think about what it means to you to find an expert, what you want from them, and really lean on them.
And tell them what you want. We're here to help you. I always say when we recommend about wine, and when you come back, it's like dating. Of finding that perfect bottle. You might not like that first one, so you're going to tell me what didn't you like about it, and we'll find something else.
There's plenty of wines in the sea. Is that what you're saying, Adam?
Something like that. Have fun with wine. Don't get intimidated. Buy it. Enjoy it. I mean, of course, working for Handpicked, I have to say, buy hand-picked wines. But at the same time, have fun with wine. Find something you like. Explore. Ask questions. And remember, it's meant to be enjoyed.
Awesome. Great. Parting thoughts. We'll share all the archives and where you can find these wines and some of the tools that you use to pick things out. One last thing that I like for people to do, we're going to skip the box. You skip the funny, crazy questions because we're just running out of time. Because I really
wine will do that to you.
Yeah, wine will do that too. But I'd like to end the show with the guests sharing a heartfelt dedication to somebody that you just want to give somebody some kind words because they need it or they've meant something to you. My reason for doing this is to show it's not intimidating, to share deep feelings. It could be a group of people, but just someone that you generally want to give a shout out to say, hey, I see you and I appreciate you and keep doing what you're doing.
Ooh, the deep. See, I can talk about wine's really
I
easy
know,
for me. That I can handle, throw everything at me.
Maybe it's a mentor, a family member.
Actually, I sort of have to because that's even the reason why I'm back in LA this
Okay.
week is my brother is getting married this Sunday. Finally. So him and his fiancée are my future sister-in-law, I guess should be, Elizabeth. So I got to say congratulations to them after all this time. I know they've had a crazy final 2 weeks planning it and all these wine questions. And I was here to help plan the food menu and the wine menu and all that. But got to give congratulations to them. I'm very happy for them that they're finally doing it. And all the best for them this weekend.
I'm proud of your brother for finding his person.
And I have to go get my suit later today.
All right.
It's like he's making me wear a suit. But no, congratulations to him. I'm very happy.
Well, you're going to have a good weekend. You're going to be like drinking wine with family and doing what you love.
Exactly.
Awesome. All right. Well, I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you. My pleasure.
I will share all the links where you can get a hold of Adam and learn more about hand-picked wines. Adam is on Instagram at Adam7, the number, and then 2 spelled out. As always, next week is the conversation we should be having about gender. That's all I'm going to tease you with. And in terms of the social challenge, I always issue a social challenge every week, and I feel like really investing in organizing an offline group. For some of us, you're in something already, like a book club or even maybe your small group at church. That's great. Stay in those. But for those of us that are not in something like that, what I'm suggesting is get a group of people together, and you might have to email and make some phone calls to figure out who wants to be in it, and say, look, I want a dedicated offline group where we come together on a regular basis. It doesn't have to be once a week, maybe once a month to start out, and we talk about what's going on in the world, and we question each other in terms of like why we think a certain way about something. We fact check why we're in the room, but it's a support group. It's your offline support group. So I really, really feel that that's super important right now, that we have to take that extra step to really stay connected with people and find out where we're getting information and what's influencing us. So that's the goal. Start an offline support group. I will list out some details of how to do it and then how to keep it kind of structured where it feels right for everybody. That's my encouragement for this week. And there's a PSC coming up after Thanksgiving, Wednesday, November 29th, so I'd love to see everybody there. And with that being said, as always, I like to sign off and just saying relate with more curiosity. I think that's what we need right now. Ask more why questions, really like lean into like, even in this exploration today, we were talking about questions. Like you can't ask enough questions, so just be more curious with each other. That's the sign off. See you next week.
Bye.
You're listening to Relatable with Stephanie Michelle, only on LA Talk Radio.